Knack on the PS4 sucks. What? Were you expecting me to pretend like this is the greatest game ever made and have Shane McMahon's "Here Comes the Money" blaring? No, this is not that kind of video. This game is bad. It's not laughably bad or offensively bad, it's just bad. Underwhelmingly bad.
So then, where did all the hype behind this game come from? Well, from what I understand, during the final days of the PS3, many game companies were developing next-gen versions of their latest releases, such as Assassin's Creed 4, Battlefield 4, Call of Duty Ghosts, among others. Knack was released as a launch title for the PS4, so the running joke was that this game was beyond the previous generation of graphics technology, as if the PS3 was unfit to handle this game's awesomeness. Now, I'm no game designer, but judging the game from the graphics alone, I mean, it looks beautiful. But would this game be able to run on a PS3? I kind of doubt it. Maybe upscaled at a lower resolution and with its frame rate compromised, so maybe people were being unfair? After all, as a launch title for a new game console, its purpose was to show off the console's graphics capabilities.
But that's not what I'm interested in, because I believe graphics are secondary next to gameplay. After all, what's the most important aspect of any game? Well, being able to fucking play it!
To begin with, the controls suck. Let's just nip that in the bud right now. As you can see, it's a 3D action game. Now tell me, what do you expect the controls to be? Most likely you'll say, left analog stick to move, and right analog stick to control the camera. That's a standard for most games of the sort. Being able to control the camera is a golden rule for 3D games that's been established since way back in 1996 with Mario 64. So when I moved the right analog stick to adjust the camera in Knack and found myself dodging, I honestly thought my controller was broken. Why would you make the right analog stick do anything other than control the camera? Why couldn't dodging be the shoulder buttons? I mean, for fuck's sake, even that piece of shit game Devil's Third at least got the control scheme correct. Seriously, not being able to control the camera is really frustrating, as you'll find yourself constantly wrestling with fixed camera angles. All I want to do is have the camera pointing directly behind Knack so that I can see what's up ahead. And honestly, for a game that's trying to showcase the graphical fidelity of the PS4, not being able to control the camera is contrary to its main function. What, are they embarrassed that people will look around the game world? Are they trying to hide something? Maybe if you look behind all the scenery, it's cardboard and duct tape like a middle school theater production. So what's the story, you may ask? Okay, you weren't asking, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So there's a tribe of goblins, who are obviously the orcs from Warhammer 40k, attacking human settlements for relics, ancient artifacts that generate perpetual energy. Our main characters plan an expedition to figure out where the goblins are coming from and where they're getting their weapons made. Then we're introduced to the game's titular character, Knack, a golem made entirely of relics.
Most impressive, Doctor. You call it Knack, is that right?
Actually, I call myself Knack.
Impressive. He seems a little delicate to me. When we go after the goblins, we'll face challenges far deadlier than those slow-moving buckets of bolts.
What exactly are you getting at, Victor?
Well, I brought a few of my security robots with me. If Knack can get by those, then I'll grant he has a place in the expedition.
I wonder who the villain of this game is.
The expedition leads them to the Highland Crags, where the goblins have barricaded themselves in the mines. Knack and Dr. Vargas make their way through the forest, where I found myself getting constantly killed by the same group of enemies, because Knack is too damn fragile. He can only take about 2 or 3 hits before he falls apart, and for a beat-em-up game, this is a big problem. Unless you're very careful, inevitably you're going to end up getting hit by something because of the immovable camera. Once they're through the mines, they find the goblin hideout and are confronted by the goblin chieftain.
Who are you? And what are you doing in my village?
You attacked a human settlement. Did you think there would be no consequences?
Consequences? The consequence is I got lots of relics and sunstones and other good stuff. And some unexpected visitors. Are you all they sent?
We're enough. The high-tech armaments of these robots are more than capable—
These tanks are very impressive pieces of machinery. We were wondering—
Where I got them, is that what you're after? Won't say. But since you're so interested in them, let me give you a closer look. Ah!
They're locked in, and it's up to Knack and Lucas to break them out by sneaking around the back. Not that it's difficult to do, because the path is conveniently laid out very linearly. So by now, I noticed a pattern to this game's overall structure, a set of quote-unquote platforming challenges followed by an instance of combat. Of course, by platforming I mean simply avoiding traps and obstacles with minimal jumping. For most of the game, you're just walking to the next instance of combat. This is boring, and the only thing to keep you occupied is looking out for sunstones and relics. But wait, you may say, there are collectibles to find along the way. I mean, sure, but given the game's extremely linear layout, finding collectibles in this game doesn't present much of a challenge. All you need to do is keep an eye out for an obviously breakable wall. Admittedly, I missed a couple obvious ones, but what's the point of collectibles if they're easy to find? The better hidden the collectible, the more rewarding it feels when you find it. Besides, the collectibles suck. They consist of these gadget parts or crystals which power up Knack and give him a new look when you find them all. But it's not like all parts for a certain gadget are found in one level, no! Instead, different parts for different gadgets are scattered throughout the various levels of the game. In other words, assembling a single gadget may require you to play a third of the whole game. Why couldn't the collectibles just be the crystals and gadgets be purchasable upgrades? Besides, of the few I did manage to assemble, the only one of any worth is the combo meter, which powers up your attack power based on the amount of uninterrupted hits you manage to pull off, and this was not until I was about halfway through the game.
Well, I guess this does give the game some replayability, as now I can go back and replay the levels with new gadgets equipped, or I can go back and search for the gadget parts and crystals that I missed. But what's the point? It's not like it'll fix all the fundamental issues I have with this game.
Knack and Lucas make their way into a cave where they spot a back entrance to the Goblin Village.
Cool!
Ooh, I'm getting chills. Off for more.
More of the same, navigate your way through the cave with the bare basics of platforming and occasionally fight some goblins. Although now you have to contend with some slippery ice mechanics which can seriously throw you off. Once outside, Knack has to reach 3 separate switches to open a gate, and credit where it's due, they actually did something clever here. When Knack stands in the sun, his ice armor starts to melt, making you want to reach the switches as fast as possible in order to retain his size and strength.
They're guarding that building. I wonder if that's where they keep the relics and all the other things they stole.
Hope so. It's been slim picking so far.
I'll see you over there. Looks like you'll need to take the long way. Sorry.
Yes, fight your way through the fortress, avoid traps, fight more goblins, whatever. Eventually you reach the Goblin Chieftain, who runs away after sustaining a little damage. What a coward.
Knack! You're massive!
I am at that. Stick close now. Let's go find the others.
Admittedly, this is one of the cooler aspects of the game. As levels progress, Knack changes in size, and as he gets bigger, he gets stronger, and mowing down enemies with just one punch makes things a whole lot easier. Or some levels may require Knack to shrink in size, allowing him to enter hard to reach places, and the way the levels scale to his size is actually pretty cool.
You see, this game isn't all bad. It's just mostly bad.
So finally, Knack and Lucas reach the rest of the party. From there, Knack has to fight his way to the top of the mountain and face off against the chieftain.
I'll admit I didn't make the tanks, but this one's all mine. I'd never have guessed. Let's hope it's sturdier than it looks, or this'll be a quick fight.
This boss fight takes place in a very narrow area, and the fact that both Knack and the mech are giant makes the fighting very cumbersome. And is all this junk lying around necessary? Oh yeah, and regardless of how large Knack is, he's still just as fragile as when he's small. This boss fight is indicative of the main problem I have with this game. The combat. It's just not polished enough. Fighting enemies one-on-one isn't too bad, but when you're up against several enemies at once, which 9 times out of 10 you are, it gets really frustrating really quickly. Knack's main form of attacking is punching and a range of special abilities that use up his sunstone gauge, of which I found myself using the ranged attack the most simply because I don't have to come close to enemies for it to hit. Dodging is another issue. Half the time, it doesn't seem to work. Sometimes, when a projectile is coming towards you, it goes into slow motion and a prompt appears as if to remind you how to dodge, and then you get hit anyway. But what's really annoying is the slow motion. When you're about to land the last hit on the last enemy, sometimes the game goes into slow motion as if to emphasize Knack's awesomeness. It's so obnoxious! Seriously, knock it the hell off! The fact that you have no control over the camera only exacerbates the problems. Not being able to move the camera so that all enemies are visible means that enemies can be hidden off screen and attack you out of nowhere.
Now, given how fighting is the main thing you do in this game, imagine having to contend with terrible fighting controls for an additional 11 chapters. That's right, we're barely a fourth of the way into this game. This is gonna be painful.
The chieftain is defeated, but won't spill the beans on who created their new arsenal of weapons, so Ryder opts to stay behind until he does. While that happens, Victor von Obvious Villain kidnaps Lucas.
Doctor, don't be so melodramatic. I merely took him for a ride in my flyer. I needed your full attention, and I didn't think I'd be getting it out there in the woods. Point of fact, I've been working on something much more interesting. A single relic weighing more than a ton. Such a thing should not be possible, of course, yet here it is before you.
Where did you find it?
I have dozens like this. We are on the verge of the next step of human evolution. The power of these giant relics will be the engine that drives it. But to take that next step, I need Knack.
Knack? What's he got to do with this?
Knack is the key. Which is to say, I need your pet. And I need him to be cooperative. No getting huge and nasty. No smashing everything in sight. What is he doing?
Let's go!
The next chapter takes place in Victor's palatial estate, a level that's quite literally a linear corridor.
Take the fastest plane you've got. And go get them.
I can't believe he fell for the old remote-controlled plane trick.
Seriously? There obviously wasn't anybody on that plane. You know, stupid villains are hard to get behind.
Lucas comes up with a plan to use the clear crystals installed in security robots. And these have to be the worst security robots ever created. Not only are they fragile, but they have no peripheral vision whatsoever. Look at this, I'm standing right next to it, but I'm undetected because I'm not standing in the light. Not that it matters anyway, it's not like the robot sounds an alarm or anything. I don't even know why I was being so cautious in the first place.
I think that's enough. Knack, remember what you did with the icicles? I need you to move those crystals into your body the same way.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I didn't think it was possible. The arcane energies in Knack's chest orb can only interact with the
hyperdense material of the relics. Yes, it's possible. Now, Knack, this next trick might be harder. I need you to concentrate and move whatever part of you's doing the thinking into the crystals. Just leave the relics behind. I present to you, Stealth Knack.
Very nice.
Yeah, Stealth Knack's great and all, but it's not like you're being any stealthy in your fighting.
And look at this. You'd think a man like Victor would have much better security for his home. Why hasn't anyone sounded the alarm? Or heck, why doesn't anyone hear all this commotion in the middle of the night? Oh, and look, the game I'd much rather be playing has just finished updating.
It looks like he's using those giant relics in some kind of motor.
That is a motor for a hovercar scaled up 1,000-fold. With it, you could power an airship 2 miles long. Let's see what else we can find around here.
Further into Victor's estate, our heroes find out about his plans from these corkboards found in this random room. Why were they there? Who knows? Who cares?
He only found enough relics to build that giant motor and then no more.
Doctor,
Yes, Knack.
I think I'm the key.
Yeah, that's what Victor said.
No, I think I'm really the key. See the holes in the door? Each of them is in the shape of one of my parts. There's my chest. There's my head. Victor thinks I can open that door for him.
Oh, which leaves only one question. Where is the mine?
It's Trogdell Mine.
Huh?
It has to be, look. There's Victor's old castle up on the hill next to it.
Oh, but this is wonderful!
And naturally, instead of silently making their way to the mines like a logical person would, they decide to make their presence known by directly confronting Victor in his office. Genius.
But Doctor, why are you here? Could it be that you feel the pull as well? You should be back in the Goblin Village with Ryder right now, trying to figure out where all those weapons came from. Yet, instead, here you are, breaking into other people's homes. Reminds me of the Doctor of long ago, before Charlotte domesticated you.
Don't you ever talk to me about Charlotte!
And seeing how this is only part 3 of chapter 4, sure, why not kick Knack off the balcony and extend the level for another 10 minutes? Of course Victor gets away, although he conveniently left the Doctor's plane behind for them to escape with. How nice of him. In pursuit of Victor, our heroes fly over to the mines, and after fighting through a mundane array of spiders and whatever these are, and disposing more of Victor's workers and robots, we reach the entrance of mines. Meanwhile, back at the Goblin Fort...
Okay, I'll tell you everything you want to know.
Oh, will you then? Where did the weapons come from?
The way it works is this. We collect the relics. Then every so often, Gundahar comes this way in his airship, and we make a deal. Trade the relics for weapons. I don't know where he comes from. We just wait.
What sort of airship?
Well, it's hard to describe. Just take a look for yourself.
Oh no.
To quote my favorite Irishman, Mr. OOC, couldn't hit a cow's arse with a banjo.
Wait, what? This is Gundahar, the Goblin King? He's a lot shorter than I expected. Well, I mean, it's either that or, David Bowie.
And now, the moment of truth. Victor was right. Giant relics. And in tremendous numbers, too. Knack, it's time. Open the door.
Wait, why would you do that? All you're doing is allowing Victor to fulfill his plans. Keep that door locked, you fools!
Well, it turns out Knack is not the key, and what did I just say?
You've shown your resourcefulness simply by making it all the way down here, Doctor. I do hope you'll join me in trying to figure out how to get past this blasted door. But Knack, if you're not the key, then you're far too much trouble to keep around. Take him out!
He's fine.
This takes us to, well, admittedly, one of the cooler looking parts of the game. Something different, you know, from the generic looking nature and industrial areas. The objective here is to remain out of sight from the giant eye's light, or else you get your relics sucked away. I guess it's like the Scarecrow sections in Arkham Asylum, but far less spectacular. You also encounter a new group of enemies, Guardians, who kind of look like the Quaddle from Rise of Legends. Okay, not really. I just wanted to mention Rise of Legends on this video. Where is my HD remake?
Is red bad? Oh yeah, red's bad.
Avoid the second eye laser, fight more Guardians, then Knack gets taken up by a glowing pillar of light and level. No boss fight, no nothing, it just ends. Fine by me, I suppose. And lucky for Knack, he's conveniently taken to Victor's castle. Here we're shown a new power-up for Knack, Wood Knack, who can be set on fire for extra damage. The only downside is that he constantly loses health, and he's still just as fragile, if not even more. Wood Knack can also ignite furnaces to gain access to new areas. Now hold on, why would a society that has discovered perpetual energy need to burn wood in furnaces for power? That's like if we decided to keep using whale oil lamps despite having developed LEDs. But never mind that, because it's now time for more plot.
How long has it been since you lost her?
Oh, about 20 years ago now. Way before you were born. I met her when we designed a car together. It was the perfect blend of beauty and muscle. By the time that car was finished, we were madly in love. Truth is, we found Knack's orb together, too. I'd been gathering relics in deep caves for years, trying to learn everything I could about their origins. And on one of the days Charlotte joined me, we made an amazing discovery. A few minutes later, the ground shook. One of those deep earthquakes that happen from time to time. Charlotte! And she fell into the depths. I hunted for weeks and weeks. I never found a trace of her. You know, I've been keeping quiet because I didn't want anyone to think I was losing my mind. But when I think of her work, like that car, and I think of the goblins' weapons and tanks, well, and I know this is crazy, but I see similarities.
Well, if you say it's so, I believe you, but how?
Knack gets fully decked out in burning wood, and Ryder shows up again to remind us that he's still in this game.
I might be small, but I'm much faster.
Nah, I got you right where I want you.
Well, she's dead. Oh, never mind. We eventually meet up with Ryder and rescue the professor.
Leaving so soon, Doctor?
Hang tight. I'll be right back.
Well, not much else left except fighting more of Victor's tin can robots and incompetent foot soldiers that still occasionally get the better of Knack. Seriously, why does he have to be so fragile? Katarina gets away, so the team regroups at Ryder's house in Monteverde to devise a plan to track down the Goblin Factory.
I think I know how to find their base.
How?
We just need them to pick up something that'll broadcast their location. Come inside and help me. Knack, get us some room to work.
Great job, Knack. Check this out. The trackers look just like relics, don't they?
So, have we made enough?
I hope so. Let's go spread some of these around town. Lucas, stay behind and make a few more. We might need them later.
Oh sure, leave a defenseless child behind in your house during a fucking invasion! Couldn't they have just given a box of trackers to Knack and let him spread them around the city? You know, stupid heroes are also very hard to get behind.
The Doc and I'll spread around the trackers and hope they pick one up. Knack, do what you can to keep my town in one piece.
Will do.
Yes, Knack, keep the city in one piece. Except for the lampposts, generators, walls that contain secrets, and entire buildings that you've destroyed. Ah well, just blame it on the goblins. Or go the way of the US military and call it collateral damage.
I get big. I break things. I can't help it. But what you do, this is evil. Join you? Never!
If I may reuse a line from one of my previous videos, if it sounds like I'm not putting much effort to describe this game, it's because it's boring. The only difference between each level are the setting changes and enemy types. It's just walk, fight, and occasionally do some easy platforming. The various power-ups are nice, but they only hold my interest for a few minutes because they're all more or less the same. Where's the variety in this game? I'm going to sound like a broken record describing this game, and I'm only at the halfway point. Please, show me something new! Well, I did get something new. A one-on-one fight with Gundahar's autonomous fighting robot. Unfortunately, this fight is awful. This robot attacks at pure random. No discernible patterns, has about 1,000,000 different attacks, moves at the speed of light, and hits like a ton of bricks. And the cherry on top of this shit sundae? Gundahar won't shut up.
So slow, Knack. You are weak, just like the humans you serve. I will destroy you. Can't move, Knack. What will you do?
Eventually I defeat this rust bucket, after about 1,000 tries. Of course the trackers work, and Knack and the dog fly off to chase them. Along the way though, they get shot down by goblins.
There's nowhere to land. I'm going to try and stall the engine just as we reach the edge of that cliff. I think I can fix the motor, but taking off again is going to be quite the problem. Go and see what you can find in the way of relics. I'm going to need you to get as large as possible.
He does just that and then they fly off. End scene. Why do they have to make an hour-long level out of this? They arrive at the Goblin's weapon factory, which looks surprisingly a lot like Victor's factory. Are they in cahoots? Nah, it's probably because they couldn't be bothered making new art assets. The new power-up here is Metal Knack. Aside from, again, making him bigger and stronger, this time you have to avoid these giant magnets so that you don't lose your balls of steel. There are also these rooms with magnetic floors that slow down Knack for added combat difficulty. Again, I like that they're trying something new here, but it's only a slight inconvenience, nothing really new or challenging. And of course, what the Doctor has been suspecting this whole time turns out to be true. The main engineer behind the Goblin Arsenal was...
Hello, Doctor.
Charlotte! But how?
Do you mean what happened after you left me to die?
Wait, what?
After I fell into the chasm, goblins found me and brought me to their leader, Gundahar. He nursed me back to health. Well, mostly anyway. This leg never really was the same again.
Charlotte, I searched for you for weeks. If I didn't find you, it's because you were already gone.
So you say.
It's the truth. So, what about all this?
Gundahar needed my help, and I gave it to him. First I made better weapons and better armor, so he could defend himself against those goblin tribes that would hurt him. And later, I made other things.
You know the weapons you have built have been used against our settlements.
I know now. I guess Gundahar took care of his enemies in the goblin tribes and began looking for a way to take revenge on humans for the Crystal Wars. As soon as I learned, I stopped.
Charlotte, I am so sorry for everything. But whatever happened, we're together again now. Please, we don't have much time. Come with me.
No.
What? Why not?
I've caused far too much suffering and destruction. I'm not fit for human company any longer.
No, don't be silly.
No!
I see.
Wow, imagine getting cucked by a goblin. Can't believe I just said that.
Ooh,
You're gonna need to stay far back so you don't get electrocuted. Better yet, I'll meet you up top that hill. I'm guessing that's where we'll find Gundahar.
And they do just that. Knack fights his way to the top and then confronts Gundahar.
Not so fast. Okay, I got him. Now what?
I wasn't sure that would work. What took me 20 years to build, your creature took 20 minutes to destroy. Do you love destruction so much, Doctor?
When destruction brings peace, yes. Yes, I do.
Even if I'm defeated, peace won't come. Goblins will rise against humans. What happened today won't prevent that revolution.
No, but it will delay it. Some rebalancing has to happen, yes, but your way is not the way.
Naughty, naughty.
I will be back!
I'm sure he will at that.
Next, the Doc and Knack meet up with Lucas and Ryder in search for the key. More of the same stuff, again. Although I guess there are these platforming challenges that are not really challenging at all. Seriously, what possessed me to play this game until the end? It's so boring, especially when looking back at this footage while editing this video. Meanwhile, back at the Goblin Factory...
You're safe.
Yes, I survived their attack. But all our hard work was destroyed.
That you brought upon yourself. You should never have used my creations against human settlements.
They are our oppressors. And when you stopped your work, you hurt us all. With better weapons than these, we could have defeated them.
With better weapons, Monteverde would be a smoking hole in the ground. It sounds like you just want my help to exterminate the humans.
Charlotte, the humans are our natural enemies. We took you in because you helped us in our struggle. But the truth is, we won't rest until every human is dead. Out of gratitude to you, I won't harm you. But if you refuse to rebuild the weapons factories, you have no place here with us.
Doctor, come save me. Please.
At the peak of the mountain, the clue to finding the key is found, but uh-oh, the baddies bugged Lucas's pendant.
I have placed the key in a labyrinth of my own devising, in the hopes that only one with the wisdom to use it properly may pass the tests.
Victor, I think he's talking about you.
Yes, but where is it?
Narcissist.
The maze appears to be somewhere under Obelisk Mountain. Huh. I always wondered what was hiding down there. Now, how long will it take us to get there?
We're going there?
Well, yes. The least we can do is to get to the key before Victor does. Don't worry, I'll be careful.
Oh, you'll be careful. That'll be the day. You do whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, and no matter how crazy it is, no one ever tries to stop the great Doctor.
Lucas?
Well, despite Lucas's whining, they fly over to Obelisk Mountain, where Victor has already arrived. And... no. Lava can be anywhere between 700 and 1,300 degrees Celsius. How the fuck are Victor's soldiers standing that close to lava and not getting burned alive? This game is too unrealistic. Once you're done outside, you head into the labyrinth where you have to solve a series of puzzles to proceed. Well, I use the word puzzle here loosely because they're the bare basics, such as hitting timed switches in the right order, jump over some enemies, avoid explosives, solve a simple maze.
There's our key and our door.
When the key is used and the door is opened, mountains will rise higher than the clouds. Huh.
And the face of the Earth will be changed forever.
Kid, what does that mean?
It means you're an idiot who doesn't have basic comprehension skills.
And despite their best efforts to stall them, Victor and Katarina catch up to them.
Quickly! Into the tunnel!
Thanks, Knack!
Yes, thanks, Knack. You've sealed them inside an ancient labyrinth with no way out. Well, I guess none of it matters, because a few simple puzzles later, they finally reach the key, which is literally shaped like a giant key.
Once we've opened the door, carefully, mind you, I can begin to unlock the secrets of the ages.
Once we've opened the door. Doctor, didn't you understand anything the cave painting said?
You can't possibly comprehend what this key represents. I mean, the scientific benefits alone.
Oh, I comprehend. It means the end of the world as we know it. We need to destroy that key.
Well, this is pointless. Knack, go get it.
Gotcha. Lucas, move out of the way.
No. It said great danger. Why don't you believe it?
The doctor does strategy. I do execution.
The last strategy of the doctors ended up with us captured and you shot. Tell me, Knack, does all of this really make sense to you?
Not so much.
It's just like I said. No matter how crazy the plan, no one will ever stop the great doctor.
You know, Doc, you should listen to Lucas more. I mean, despite having a PhD, you've proven yourself to be one of the dumbest characters in this game.
Katarina, piloting what is no doubt a stripped-down Hyakuren mobile suit, steals the key and gets away, then launches a poisoned relic into Knack.
Ah, they've cleared the path for me. See you later, if you survive.
Ooh, I won't last long at this rate. Better find more relics before I melt away to nothing.
But can't Knack just deconstruct himself to get rid of the poisoned relics? This game's logic has more gaps in it than Knack himself.
The level ends with a boss fight against Katarina's mech. Thankfully, this fight is much easier than the last boss fight. All you have to do is damage the mech enough and then she flies to another platform. Just keep chipping away at her health and you'll be grand. Except for the fact that Knack moves so fucking slow. This makes dodging and keeping up with the much faster mech a chore. I get that he's a pile of rocks, but that doesn't mean he has to move like one. And to top it all off, you're constantly losing health because of the poisoned relics. I mean, it's not too bad considering that the rate you lose health at is only a trickle, but it doesn't help the fact that Knack is fragile like a tower of champagne glasses.
I'm sorry, what?
No!
What was that? No! Sounded like something you'd say if you were mildly inconvenienced. I guess that's what happens when you hang around robots all day. You lose your ability to emote properly.
They've got the key.
Well, we'll just have to go after them then. To the ropes. She's still alive.
No she wouldn't. I just said a couple lines ago that lava can be over 1,000 degrees. She'd be all burned up like Anakin Skywalker.
Doctor, come save me. Please.
Let's pick up the pace, Lucas. We've got the world and a certain lady to save.
The power of boners is strong in this one. I mean, look at the size of that cable. I'm surprised they didn't suffer rope burn and fall off immediately. I guess I'm just looking for any excuse for this game to finish faster. Well, thankfully, Victor's airship is the second last level of the game, and a shorter one at that.
Stealth Knack is back.
Yeah.
You know, just because the words rhyme doesn't make it a catchphrase that you have to say out loud.
I guess they were in a hurry. They forgot to put in the floor.
There must be safety devices around here for the workers who built this floating palace. Aha! Levitators. These'll do the trick.
That looks important. Should probably remember that for later. And, okay, this is getting ridiculous. How does Knack float? The air would just pass through him. He should be able to walk over these turbines just fine. I know I'm nitpicking, but that's what this game does to you. You get relentlessly bored that you actively seek things to give out about.
All our lives will end someday. If Katrina had perished in the achievement of our dream, then that would have been a beautiful thing. But she died for nothing! As you will now. Goodbye, Doctor.
See, I told you to remember those for later. And how convenient that they land right in front of the destroyed Goblin weapons factory, where Charlotte has one last airplane for them to chase Victor with. And speaking of Victor, what was behind that door this whole time? Exactly what Lucas said. Danger. With no time to spare, our heroes rush over to the mines for the last time to stop the end of the world.
And thus we've come to the final level of the game. Thank fucking God! Ow, that actually hurt.
And this is the last level. What do? You guessed it. Walk around, fight, walk around, fight, walk around some more, and fight some more. The tried and true formula of this game. Only this time, you're climbing around the Guardian constructs like in the previous levels, but now in broad daylight. And one thing this part does do differently is making Knack absorb the giant relics and becoming enormous. Now, most enemies go down with one hit and you get to rampage. It's also hilarious to see Knack swipe at the foot soldiers scurrying about like ants. Quite frankly, that's all this game needed to be, a game where you rampage around as a giant golem who gets larger every time they destroy something. You know, all this Guardian stuff would be fascinating if we were given some background onto what the hell they are. I don't think the game gives us anything beyond they're an ancient civilization. So what are they? Are they the previous inhabitants of Earth? Are they aliens? Are they gods? What are they? But before the game can give you any answers, you reach the final Guardian. His fight happens in stages. First, you have to bash away his shield and then land some shots whilst avoiding his lasers. Then the fight moves on to the upper platform, and this is the real final boss fight. He takes away Knack's giant relics, and you have to reach them whilst avoiding his projectiles. Once you reach them, land a few shots, and that's it. You only need to do it twice, and then end game.
I would like to thank Knack for his large, some might say, gigantic contribution to our efforts. But I would also like to thank our smallest hero for his wisdom. Without his foresight, we would have used the key ourselves and perished instantly. Thank you, Lucas. And now, let us all take a moment to thank Ryder, who sacrificed his life so that we might be saved. Our thoughts are with you, Ryder, wherever you are.
That was Knack for the PlayStation 4. Was it a good game? What do you think? It's boring, repetitive, and dragged on for far too long. It may have only been 10 hours of playtime, but it sure felt like an eternity. You know what the sad thing is? I wanted to like this game. I really did. The creativity is there. It really is. And while not entirely original, I can see that there was a good amount of effort put into it to make something unique. But where this game fails me is the controls and gameplay, which, like I said, is repetitious and boring.
They could have made the game based around using the relics to do certain moves and traversing different kinds of terrain. Tweak the combat so that Knack can land more than just a few hits at once, and make him an indestructible monster. I think this would make for some fascinating and unique gameplay. Granted, it does touch upon some of it, but in general, it's just not enough. But the main thing that confuses me about this game is, who is it made for? What I mean by this is, I cannot place my finger on an appropriate target audience for this game. Is it for kids? The cartoonish aesthetics and characters seem to say so, but I think kids would find this game too frustrating because of its controls and difficulty. Is it for more experienced gamers? Maybe. Beyond the main story, there are collectibles to unlock, time attacks and achievements, but I just don't believe there's enough to hold anyone's interest beyond the main campaign mode. Not to mention, experienced gamers would get frustrated at the game's controls and clunky combat. I played this game at the default setting, and even I found myself dying a lot, simply because of how awkward this game handles. Not having a clear audience is probably why this game has fallen into obscurity, forgotten by time, and only referred to in a sarcastic or humorous manner. This game is now nothing more than a running joke on the internet.
Now, I'm well aware that there's a sequel to this game, Knack 2. But you may be asking, will I be playing it on the show? Of course not!
Electrocution here would be a fitting end. She doesn't love me anymore.
Well, I'm no human, but it seems a bit more complex than that. Now you make sure you're long gone before the fireworks start.
All right. I'm going already.
Go on.
Don't mind me. I just lost the love of my life.
Thankfully, Stage 5 is nice and short, and it acts more as a prelude to Stage 6 and beyond, where the real meat of the game lies, because from here on out, you're in Dracula's castle. And as an affectionate nod to the original Castlevania, the first hallway of Dracula's castle closely resembles the first stage of the original game. Pretty neat. But once you go upstairs, that's when you realize that this game is a whole different beast entirely. Jumping between these massive chandeliers is a real bitch. Just gotta get the timing right. Ah, fuck!